Hi everyone, welcome to Quantum Leap Business Show, the 24-hour virtual global show coming to you in 3 different time zones. Our guest speaker today is Melissa Smith, who is bringing you the secret strategy of hiring the right virtual assistant. After attending the workshop, you will have your most common questions answered. What can I hire? What can I do to hire a VA? How much does a VA charge? Do I really need a VA? And she's also going to cover the top 3 mistakes when hiring a VA, the best time to hire a VA, and more. So without further ado, Melissa Smith.
Thank you so much. I love speaking on hiring a virtual assistant. I wrote a book on it, so I could talk about this all day. But today we're going to be talking about the secret strategy of hiring the right VA. Now, I will tell you that this strategy will work for anytime you're outsourcing. I'm specifically going to be talking about virtual assistants, but a great strategy is a great strategy. So if you're thinking, wow, I might not hire a VA first, I need to hire this other person, then using this strategy will help you. Also, we're going to be talking about different types of debt and investment and long-term value. And there's a difference between hiring for a short-term project and long-term value when it comes to virtual assistants. So I'm going to be speaking on long-term value today, but we will go over hiring for projects slightly later on in the presentation. So here's what we will be covering today. What is already known about hiring a VA? So we're going to cover this because I just want to make sure we're all on the same page. We're going to cover what you don't know about hiring a VA. This is where I'm going to answer your most asked questions, the questions that most commonly come up in all the webinars and podcasts and interviews that I do. And then finally, I'm going to talk about the secret strategy of hiring the right VA. And this is where I'm going to answer questions that you didn't even know to ask. So we're going to be covering a lot today, and that's okay. You can ask questions at the end. I don't mind if you pop questions in as we go along, but also in your goodie bag, you will have my entire workbook, which maps out my entire proven process for this. So if there's a lot to share and you're like, oh my gosh, don't worry, you have it all for you in the goodie bag. And then here's my bio. You may have seen it somewhere already. I'm not going to cover this point by point, but what I will share that was what's not on here is that I'm more likely to be quoted on money than any other topic. And that's really important because I really enjoy helping my clients find the value and the return on their investment when hiring a virtual assistant. And particularly, there is an investment process that you most likely aren't taking into consideration, because we're going to talk about different kinds of debt. And I'm going to be telling you about a debt that you probably haven't heard of before, but that is crucial, and why so many people need to hire a virtual assistant and the strategy that goes into that. So here is what we know about virtual assistants. These are things that you've probably read in magazines, online, maybe your best friend told you, someone in your group. And the first thing is that we know about hiring virtual assistants is that they save you time, right? Maybe it's because you just don't have any time to do it anymore. You don't know how to do it. You don't have the equipment available or the knowledge. And so hiring a virtual assistant saves you time from either doing it yourself or even the added process of trying to figure out how to do something. And then the second one, VAs save you money. You're generally not going to hire someone that's more expensive than yourself. So VAs save you money in that capacity. But there's also a saying, either you have an assistant or you are an assistant. So we like to say you are one expensive assistant if you're doing it on your own. And so we really do save you money just in that frame of mind. And then this last one provides a better client or customer experience. This one isn't always a given. This one has to be researched and vetted, because while some clients know from the beginning that their VA is going to be working on client care, customer management, they're going to have some kind of interface with their audience, not everyone does, but a VA has the ability to really permeate throughout your business. And you really want to make sure that everyone you hire has a positive outcome on your client customer experience. Because if not, this is the one that will actually cost you. Because anytime something ends up back on your desk when it was in someone else's wheelhouse to do it or fix it or take care of it, now you've just lost time and money. So it's really important on that last one that you vet carefully. But this is what we know about virtual assistants. And then here's what most people don't know about hiring virtual assistants. A lot of people still like, I just don't know what to hire for. What do I do? How do I work with someone remotely? A lot of us have been working remotely for a long time. A lot of us have been working remotely pre-COVID, since COVID, but hiring assistant seems a lot more challenging than it should. And I'm here to tell you, you're probably better at it than you think, and I'll share why in a moment. I'm going to share the best time to hire a VA, why a VA is not a luxury. You are your worst productivity problem. And I know this one always gets people because they're like, no, I am so productive. I account for every moment. I always know what I'm doing. There's no wasted time. Even if those things are true, I'm going to show why that's not the best use of your time. And then, of course, the biggest mistakes made when hiring a VA. Now, when you're thinking about working remotely and hiring someone to work with you remotely, and you're thinking, gosh, I used to have an assistant. We were in an office, we would just pass by each other. We'd be able to just pop our heads into the office, or, I've never hired anyone before as an outsourced person, as someone who's working virtually. And I really just want to challenge your thinking on that for a moment. So when I first became a virtual assistant, 7-8 years ago now, I had a lot of people asking me, wow, doesn't it feel so strange that you can't just like catch your executive while they're going into the office, or you can't pop your head in? And I thought, no, not at all. Because if that's the only form of communication we had, we didn't really have a good working relationship. Our communication together was very thought out. It was very purposeful. I wasn't going to get his or her best response by somehow just catching them for that, miracle 5 minutes that doesn't exist, or by chance they had the answer running from meeting to meeting. Also, my executives traveled, they taught, they were in classes, they were in meetings, they were working, and we were communicating virtually for years. So if you've ever sent an email, if you've ever communicated with someone over the phone, if you've ever used project management software, congratulations, you were working and outsourcing and delegating and doing whatever it is you needed to do virtually already. But on a larger scale, I like to think, I was born to do this and be remote, because all my life, everything has been outsourced, right? That's the way I look at it. I've never been to the well to get water. I don't do anything for electricity except flip the switch. I don't even grow a garden. The closest I, get to that sort of vegetables is going to the farmer's market. Certainly for my business, my IT and engineering, all outsourced. Even my product line for my books, all outsourced. So when you think about it like that, it should take away some of the fear of hiring. You are better at than you think. And I know that you can run through little things in your head and go, oh yeah, that person's outsourced, that person's outsourced. But here's why most people don't think they are capable of doing it, or they run into their first problem. And it's simply because you're not asking the right questions. And great answers come from great questions. So we just have to work on that. So what's the wrong question? Well, it's the question that most people ask. And it's, what can I hire a VA to do? And the problem with that question is that it's not specific, and nor is it going to provide you any value. Because in all those articles that you see and then talk about virtual assistants and list off all the things a virtual assistant could do, that hasn't sparked you to hire anyone yet. So it just means that you haven't found it valuable. So what you need to ask is the right question, and that's, whom can I hire to do what is valuable to me? And in that workbook I was telling you about, I list the top 10 reasons why someone hires a virtual assistant. And once you figure that out, then you know it's valuable to you. So is it valuable to you, to someone, to check your emails, to book your travel, to do your social media, to create your graphics, to create landing pages. What is valuable to you? For me, anything tech is going to be valuable to me. I'm super low tech. I am ultimately challenged. I think that sometimes I'm actually cursed, but that's okay because I'm okay with hiring the person that loves to work with someone like me and loves how much I value them. So I don't do anything when it comes to technology, and that includes my websites, landing pages, links, lead magnets, email lists, CRMs. I have a VA for all of that because it's super, super valuable. In fact, some of the most common things that people say to hire a virtual assistant for, I have not, because answering emails is so easy for me, and I actually really love to do it. I manage 6 email accounts, but everything else, I just want to be in email all day. Everything else is not valuable to me. Emails, clients, that's my world. And then when is the best time to hire a VA? It's always, always, always before you need one. By the time you need one, something has more than likely fallen through the cracks. You're already losing sleep. You're already stressed out. Something's already not right in your business. And the thing about it is, no matter how great the VA is, everyone in your company has to be onboarded. And that's no matter if you have a company of 1 or if you have a company of 10,000. Everyone needs proper onboarding because that onboarding ensures that you have a good working relationship. Everyone knows where everything is. Everyone knows what kind of company culture that you have. Everyone knows what kind of client communications that you expect. Everyone knows what your working rhythm is, what your style is, what works best for you. And it takes time to put that into place. The work itself, yes, people can start that, but they can't start it until they understand what the expectation is in order to get the right work out. And honestly, no one wants to come in and put out all your fires and come into a place to clean it up. And a lot of clients will say, gosh, everything is such a mess right now. I don't even know where to start. That's costly. When your weight to you're completely underwater, you're actually wasting more time, and it costs you little money because instead of the VA getting onboarded in just a few weeks and getting up to speed, now it takes much longer, and they're literally waiting around because the owner, someone in the company, they're so underwater that they can't even answer simple emails or jump on a call in a timely manner. So you truly are wasting money this way. Also, when you rush things, everything goes wrong. It's just Murphy's Law. There's just no 2 ways about it. But when you hire before you need someone, you really get to take your time. You really get to hire for what you need. You get to set the expectations and provide a proper onboarding process so that everyone is set up for success. And a VA is not a luxury. So a lot of people would say, oh gosh, I just can't afford a VA. Like a VA is a luxury. I can't tell my investors that I'm hiring a VA. They would think I was lazy. And that's not true at all. One, a VA is not a luxury because you can hire a VA on a project basis. You can hire them on retainer as needed. This is someone that you can hire just for your busy seasons. You don't have to hire this person and keep them throughout your year. But when you need that extra help, then they are there to assist you. And the average person hires a VA for 5 to 10 hours a week. That's not a luxury. That's just the cost of doing business. And if you wanted to retain a VA, you can do so for as little as 10 hours a month. But most people just don't think in these terms because they're thinking in antiquated terms of 20 hours a week or 40 hours a week. And most VAs don't work in that time frame. They actually have multiple clients, so they don't need one client to take up that much of their hours. And by the time that you need to hire someone for 20 hours a week or 40 hours a week, by all means, that's a necessity then. It's not a luxury in your business. And certainly that means you needed to hire that person a while back. And then this is one that gets a lot of people, but it's true. You are your worst productivity problem. And you can be super productive and check everything off the list. But as the CEO or the owner, the founder, however you identify, that's not really what people are paying you to do. That's not really why they're investing in your company. And it goes back to either you have an assistant or you are the assistant. And you really don't want to do something just because you can. So the pendulum has really swung both ways on this. Way back when, there wasn't all these systems that were super intuitive, very easy, that we had on our phones, that we had tablets for. People used their assistants because they literally could not do the work the assistant did or did not have the time, absolutely did not have the time to do it. And then it started shifting over the time, over years, and then more and more people said, oh, okay, well, I can do this work. It just, now it doesn't take me as long because I'm using the system. And then now we've swung all the way to the other side when people say, well, yes, I can do this now. I don't have to hire anyone. Well, yes, you can do it, but no, you shouldn't be doing it because that's not the best use of your time. And you actually end up bottlenecking yourself and how much progress that you could make in your business. You really need to protect your investment and think of yourself like a mental athlete. So there's a lot of times where investors actually hire me or have their founder hire me to match them with the VA because they're worried that that person isn't doing the thing that they hired them to do. So when you get bogged down in emails and calendaring and schedules and you're not sleeping and you're working all hours of the night and everything seems rushed and seems last minute, then what happens? Your mental capacity goes down. And then you have less mental capacity to make decisions, to make the right hires, to problem solve. Because your productivity problem, that's actually not your problem. You as a founder, as a CEO, your problem is to figure out the problem to solve and solve for that. Everything else can be done by someone else. And then the biggest mistake made in hiring. This one's really sad because it's 100% preventable. And it can just be done if you just take the time, and that's just not conducting due diligence. I see it all the time. People hiring people because they need someone like yesterday. So this goes back to hiring a VA before you need one. But when you wait too long, then you make mistakes like this that you know better. Like deep down, you knew better, but you were making bad decisions because you're just buried in the work. No reference checks, no background checks, or hiring the first person you interview. In fact, I've had all three of these. People come to me with all three of these mistakes. And it does not save you any time. It does not save you any money. It can cause you a headache. It could cause you your reputation. It's just not a good business practice. And this is something that everyone knows. But again, when you're just buried and you feel like, oh my gosh, I'm just not going to make it another day, then that's how you make poor decisions like this. So you're like saying, well, okay, thanks, Melissa. You just pointed out everything I've been doing wrong, but I'm already doing it that way, so I don't know what to do now. Don't worry, that's okay. That's why I'm here. So I like this Chinese proverb that says, the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The next best time is now. So we can't change what's already been done, but certainly we can move forward and do better. And so what's the secret strategy? Well, the secret strategy is super simple, right? This is not rocket science. If it was, I wouldn't be able to do it. We don't need it to be difficult because we need it to be easily implementable. But the secret strategy is eliminating time debt. And time debt is borrowing from one activity and giving it to another. So I sincerely hope that everything that you want to do is on your calendar. If it's not, just please don't tell me. But we're going to assume that everything that you want to do and get done in a day is on your calendar. And let's say that time is writing, it's client prospecting, it's putting together a proposal. But then you have that time blocked off and then something else comes in and it becomes suddenly urgent. And so instead of doing the thing that you wanted to do, you do the thing that you feel like you have to do. And that could also be taking time to sleep, taking time off in general, spending time with your family or your kids, doing nothing. And what happens is that time accumulates over and over and over again, and we get into debt. But time debt is a type of debt that you cannot pay back. You can't make it up later. Once that time is gone, you can never get it back. And then you can only master your time and make it work for you. And so this next part, I'm going to say this several times again, because I really want you to get this. The most productive people see their time in hours, not days or weeks or even months. So what would happen if you viewed your time in minutes, not hours? And when I say minutes, we're not going to talk about, oh yes, it just takes me 5 minutes to do that. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about we're actually going to strategize how you spend your time in the form of taking it down to the minute realistically. Because so often I have clients tell me that it only takes them 5 minutes to do something. And they say, oh, I can't believe it took the VA like 15 minutes. It takes me 5 minutes. And I'll say, really? That's interesting. Do you mind showing me? Do you want to do a little loom for me? And ultimately, it always takes someone more than 5 minutes. So we have this time built up in our head, but we have to be realistic with it. And the reason why is there's this unspoken rule of leadership that everyone forgets to mention. And I think I was privy to this because I always worked for executives, and I thought, wow, so as an executive, you're just in meetings all day? Like, this is your life? You go from meeting to meeting to meeting, then you meet with people, and then you team build, and then you read reports that came out of those meetings or as a result of those meetings, and then you make decisions, you meet with people again, and then you get ready for your next meetings where you're gonna prepare something else. Wow, no one ever said that. When you get larger in business, when you start growing your team, you will have more meetings. You will have meetings that are also built to build up your team. You'll have to factor in that. And then you'll also have more one-on-one time, and you might have your own meeting with your own coach or your own consultant. But this is time that is not on your calendar now, but will be on your calendar in the future, and it has to come from somewhere. And the thing about meetings, there's been a lot of books about this. There's been a lot of topics about this. I know I've been in my fair share of horrible meetings, but the reality is meetings done well compounds your business interest. They truly do. You should not see meetings as time debt and the thing that you just can't wait to scratch off your calendar. When you do meetings well, you are building up your team, you are empowering them, you are allowing for collaboration, you're allowing for ideas to be made, you are allowing people to speak with you, you're allowing for mentoring, and ultimately, all those things make your job easier. Because without that, and without clear direction, and without clarity, and without empowering your people, all they're going to do is come back to you and ask you for questions and ask you what to do next and ask you how to help. Or worse, they won't ask you, they'll do something, it won't be right, and then you'll have to fix it. So then the question becomes, how much time and money will you lose by doing it all yourself? Because the reality is you could always make more money, but you can never make more time. And there are two things every CEO must do with their time. I don't care what industry you're in. I don't care if you have one employee or none, if it's just you, or you have 10,000. Every CEO has the same two responsibilities, and that is one, to future-proof your business, and two, to hire the right people, and that includes the right virtual assistant. And the reality is future-proofing is your business is not possible when you have time debt, because time debt will suck the problems of today into everything that you're doing, and you won't be able to see the opportunities of the future. Tomorrow just happens to you. Next week just happens. Next month just arrived out of nowhere. And as a CEO, you need to be able to control that and plan and strategize for your future. When you're not future-proofing, what missed opportunities will that cost you? I know so many people and they're saying, oh, I'm going to write this book. I'm going to do this online course. Oh, I got this new system that's so great. Oh, I have this training that, that could really help my business. And they sit on it for years. And then what happens? Someone else puts something out, and that doesn't mean you can't, but it often means that they don't. Because everything that you do, you have to start now. The future arrives literally every single second. And so you have to plan for it. And then ultimately, will you be able to stay in business if you miss the opportunity? We don't have to look back further than last year to see those who were able to figure things out, to work on it, to find a way to make it happen. And then now they are coming back strong versus those who ultimately had to go out of business. And then, of course, the second, hire the right people. Not possible when you have time debt. And this is one of the catch-22 scenarios that is really, really difficult for people because they don't actually want to get off the hamster wheel. They just want to slow it down. And if you want change, if you want things to happen differently, if you want to control the outcomes or have a better chance at least of controlling the outcomes, then you need to stop. You need to get off the hamster wheel. You need to re-strategize. You need to refocus. And you need to start hiring the right people. The right people aren't going to wait around forever. The hiring process is already a slow process, right? We want to hire the right people. We want to, take our time. But at the same time, candidates know when you just don't have it together. They're not going to wait around 3 months waiting for, you to say something, you to get back to them when this other company seems to have it together and they want to hire them instead. Ultimately, if you don't get off the hamster wheel, I can just promise you want to stay on there and you'll get up to speed and you'll be going 100 miles an hour on that hamster wheel, but you'll go 100 miles an hour right into the wall. Whether that be burnout, whether that be exhaustion, whether that be, having something, a failed launch, whatever it is, it always happens when you're on the hamster wheel. So how do we get off? What do we do? What do we do? How can we make it happen? Well, just like anything else, we create a strategy. It doesn't just happen. We have to create a strategy. It's on purpose, but it's easy. So again, like I said, if the most productive people see their time in hours, then your strategy starts there. And here's where most people, again, go too far. They're thinking, okay, well, how can I do 5 hours? How can I do 10 hours? How can I do 20 hours? And then they get so overwhelmed, paralyzed by potential, if you will, that they do nothing. But if we just start small, then we could say, okay, well, I have this time budget. I have this one revenue generating activity that I want to do for an hour every day. And then during that hour, I will do that revenue generating activity and a VA will do this other activity that I don't have to do, anyone else but me can do. And that begins the strategy. Now you're saying, well, I don't really know if I need more revenue. I have never met that person, but maybe that's you. That's okay. You might say, I want another hour of sleep. So one of the consultation questions that I always ask my clients is, if you had one more hour in the day, what would you do with it? And the number one answer is sleep. So if you're saying, I just want that another hour of sleep, then great. What could you do to stop your day an hour earlier and then have your VA take care of that 1 hour a day so that you feel comfortable logging off? Same principle applies. And then 2, we build on the strategy. So if you want to hire more people, you need more revenue for the runway. Basic, right? Of course. But so now we need to double down on the revenue generating activities, whatever that is. Then you're going to assign your VA those tasks to support you doing that. And maybe there's a system and process already in place. Just because you double down doesn't mean that your assistant's time doubles down. What it takes you, it might not take an assistant that long. But you're also going to have your VA create systems, processes, templates, automations. They're going to be creating something for you that can be passed on to someone else. And then lastly, you assign your strategy. And this is where most people go wrong. So they come up with this formula that's not proven to work for anyone. It's only proven to work for them. So they have this formula like, oh yeah, but I'm the only one who can, execute it. Well, then you haven't created anything that's scalable. We're talking about scale here. We're talking about getting you out of your business, right? So it has to be a proven formula at this point for anyone to work it. So you assign that to someone, and you can even make this person do it full time, because we know if it's proven, what's going to happen. You have your stats, you have your data. Now you know how much you can pay this person, what they're going to be bringing in, and what you can expect. And then what do? You don't just leave that time, right? Because it's all about the time budget. So we take that time, and now you can start working on the problems of the future. Maybe your next thing that you immediately have to do is start hiring. Maybe you have to look about a strategic partner. Maybe you want to expand. Maybe you want to create that online course and write that book. And all of that goes into future proofing. And then lastly, you actually have to test those solutions, right? If I'm a chef, I don't come up with a recipe, put it on a plate, and then put it on my menu and call it a day. There has to be time to go through, test it out, have some people taste it, know what's going on, know what good looks like, put it, boxed up nicely, and then put it out on the menu, put it out, have it delivered, however you want to think about it. And then the list goes on and on. And that is how you hire for strategy and to scale. So ultimately, the secret strategy of hiring the right VA is creating, building, assigning strategies to eliminate time debt. And really, I didn't go into what most people do wrong on that side, because I don't want to leave that way. But it is just this simple. It is this simple. And this is what I do every day for my clients. This is coming to you from the Association of Virtual Assistants. And the mission of the AVA is to be the most trusted source of information in the VA industry, providing a high standard of excellence, but also for the clients that we serve. So we have clients that join the AVA to hire the right virtual assistant. And that's really important, because we know as VAs that we would not be in business if not for our clients. So we take that very seriously, and also the information that we share with clients so they can make the most informed decisions. And when you join the AVA, you have a benefit of working with an AVA member. So true assistants, whether human or AI, their measure is how well they are able to anticipate your needs. And so the AVA has true assistants. You know that your assistants have a library of resources and training and development that we provide them. They have I think we have over 80 trainings in the portal now, plus documents, resources. We have a live Slack community where they can ask questions and get help. We offer the same actually for our client members who have questions. But ultimately, it takes the job of delegating away from you, because we believe that delegating is work. And then, of course, I'm happy to answer any questions that anyone has.
Melissa, there was a lot of added value there, especially for small businesses looking for new ideas and new inspirations. Coming out of the pandemic, what one piece of advice would you give for small businesses?
Don't do it all yourself. I mean, that's really is my tagline. I believe that. I don't believe anyone can do business on their own. Whether you need a coach, a VA, a partner, for a lot of people, they need a housekeeper, they need a cook, they need a nanny. You need something. You can't continue to do it all on your own. And we are seeing this in droves right now. People just not taking care of themselves, not taking care of business. In the States, we're not known for taking vacation. I mean, I am, but most people aren't. And so right now, people, for whatever reason, did not take vacation last year. Didn't take it. Even though they could have done a staycation, they could have, gone out camping or whatever. They didn't decide to do that. This year, what's happening? Everyone's put in for their vacation. It's almost all coming at once. Companies and employers are frantically trying to figure out how to manage it. And it's just because people are not taking care of themselves. And when we're business owners, we have to take care of ourselves, but we also have to take care of our businesses. And as a business owner, you just don't get that, right? You can't say, oh, I'm putting in my notice, I want 2 weeks off. Who's gonna be running your business? Who's going to be handling things? How are you possibly going to disconnect? But again, by the time that you need that, and then they think, oh gosh, but now I have to hire someone, it can feel very, very overwhelming.